Hello and welcome to In the Midst of Everything. I'm Esther Brooks. I am in a cool old house right now. And where they have wall lights. So they're on the sides instead of on the ceiling. Which, also the ceiling is at an angle. I don't know how, wouldn't necessarily put the lights on the ceiling anyways. Right behind me here is a laundry chute. So right here, on the other side, there's a whole place, whatever, that you can drop your laundry down, and it goes all the way down. And then in the bathroom downstairs, there's another little door thingy in the wall that you can open. And you can also put your dirty laundry in that thing too. And it goes all the way down to the basement. They don't make houses like they used to. So yeah. So today I wanted to talk about, the title that I have for this episode is I Want to Stop Despising My Younger Self. I think that I'm going to try and just start with going back, in time to my younger self, when I was a kid, I guess. I'll have to remember. Let's see. Everything was magical back then. I saw things were just so big back then. Especially tables. As I started growing, I was like, a table's supposed to be that small? Why is it so low to the ground? And other furniture and appliances, and I was like, why is it so low? It's supposed to be that way? I thought it was supposed to be way up here or something. And nature was just so big and amazing and so cool. And just the simplest things were just so magical and amazing, and yeah. Which, is why, can you see that? There, you can probably see that, right? Hopefully. Or here. It's kind of hard to show it like this. But I honestly don't know. I don't know where the frame is, but it's fairy wings with sparkles. And I got matching tattoos with my sisters when we went to Cuba back in November. And that was kind of because we wanted to get matching tattoos, and we wanted to have it with something with our childhood. And fairies was a big thing for the four of us. We would go outside and in nature and play and just, pretend to be fairies, or pretend that there were fairies, hiding places, and we would make up stories, and life was simple, I guess you could say, and carefree. I didn't really have too many worries or cares. I was very much in the moment. But, life happens, and in different situations and things that happened, I started realizing that things were, not necessarily as I thought they were. I didn't go to public school, so I didn't have as much influence and exposure from kids, but I still, experienced kids. I was in 4-H, and also I would go to church and go to Sunday school, and there were kids there. And they would, be messing around, and it's not like I was super, bullied or anything, but, every once in a while someone would say something that would stick. Also, there would be times where just kids wouldn't like me or something, and it's not like I was doing anything to them, they just decided to not like me. And so they would try to say things to me to hurt me. And then as life went on, middle school was really hard for me because things were changing, and I was uncomfortable with myself. I loved to show how I felt and be very affectionate with my friends and stuff. Our family, is a more touchy-feely family. We like to hug each other and whatnot. And that wasn't necessarily the case for other people. I mean, there's plenty of people that are like that, but a lot of people that aren't like that. And so there would be times when I would try to, hug people or, just kind of, I don't know, just latch arms, just while we're not doing anything in particular, and it wasn't really, they acted kind of like it was weird, and they just didn't really reciprocate, in feeling that way. I don't know how to explain that really. Or if I showed excitement, they'd be like, okay, I don't know. And so I guess I kind of started to slowly back off and try to tone that down. I started getting really in my head in middle school. I would go places and kind of just stand by a wall and not talk to anyone. And also, I love to dress up. I've always loved to dress up and just wear funky clothes and whatnot. And I started feeling aware. I would put on, a crazy outfit, and then I'd go out in public, and then I would feel uncomfortable and overdressed, and yeah, I was just so badly inside of my head and worrying about what people were thinking about me. And I started really having a lot of anxiety around what to say to people in just normal conversation, because I didn't want them to not like me. And if I said the wrong thing or might possibly say something weird. And so, yeah, in middle school, I had this phase where I went kind of really on the deep end of just, I'm not going to try and socialize. I'm not going to try and make new friends because it's too hard. It causes a lot of anxiety in me, and the fear of being rejected was so much greater than actually the possibility of actually gaining a new friend. And so I put up walls around me in order to not get hurt. And so in my mind, I guess, in order to not get hurt, I just don't have any people that can hurt me. And so I did have a couple of friends here and there. Mainly it was just my family. But it's so crazy how inside my head I was. I just thought the world revolved around me. And every tiny little thing was huge in my mind. And I was dealing with a lot of hormones, and I am very sensitive to things and very emotional, and so especially then everything was just huge in my mind. It was just so big. Yeah, I recall that. I definitely had the spotlight effect, thinking that everyone was looking at me and everyone cared about what I was doing in every tiny little thing. You know, if I messed up just this tiny little thing, that people would know and see, and it would be awful. Or if I did something, remotely embarrassing, it was the end of the world. And it was awful, and I remember, if I'd be in the car with, I don't know, my mom, and if we would be driving past people, I would, hide in my seat, because I just didn't want to be seen. I remember doing that with Caitlin when I was in high school, driving past somebody's house that I knew and they were outside, and I hid in my seat because I didn't want them to see me. I just saw everything was just so big, and everyone. The problem with that is that in movies and TV shows, that is the thing. That you are the center of attention. And when you walk into a room, all eyes are on you. And if you do this remotely embarrassing thing, everyone's laughing at you, and it's the end of the world and all this stuff. And that's not really, it's not reality. It really isn't. And most of the time, even if people do see something that you do, they're going to not remember it. But for the most part, everyone is in their own worlds. They're all thinking about themselves, and they're not really noticing you. And even when you do something, funny or embarrassing, when I see someone, do something kind of that might be embarrassing for them, I just think I admire them. I don't know how to explain that, but it's just one of these little things that I can treasure, I guess. I don't know. It's a weird thing. It makes a good memory. So, yeah, back to what I was talking about. I just put up walls, and I definitely became quite depressed and anxious and just, yeah. And then I started going to youth group, and I was still very uncomfortable and really self-conscious, and yeah, everything was just so big to me. But slowly, I don't remember the first thing that I did, but I somehow I did something. I don't remember exactly what it was the first time I did it, but I had this realization of the benefits of stepping out of my comfort zone. And then I was like, I want to keep doing this because this is helping me to grow and to not be so in my head and anxious and scared to do anything. And so I pursued stepping out of my comfort zone, just in the tiniest little things. My sophomore year of high school, I decided to join cross country to challenge myself and to practice socializing to get myself out of that. It was very beneficial for me, I would say, for sure. And the summer before junior year, I went to Ecuador on a missions trip, and that was very much out of my comfort zone. Yeah, I remember when they first announced that they were planning on taking a team from youth group to Ecuador. I was like, yep, that's, there's so many other people here that, that'd definitely be for them or whatnot. And I had no thought in my mind of, oh yeah, you're gonna go. No, not at all. But then I went home that night and I just felt this challenging question. And I believe it was the Holy Spirit, because that was definitely not me. It was just this still, quiet voice that asked me, what if you went? And I was like, what? No. What do you mean? Me? So I definitely struggled with that, and I wrestled with it, and guess what happened? I went because I felt like I was supposed to, and I didn't want to say no to what God had. So, yeah, very stretching. And yeah, cross country was so beneficial for me. When I joined in my sophomore year, I was kind of just jumping in. I didn't know, I'd never done a sport before. I didn't really know what I was getting into, and I wasn't necessarily very good at it. I found out that I don't have a very large lung span, breathing wise. I'm not necessarily super fast, especially long distance. And if you don't know what cross country is, because people get it mixed up with track all the time, and they think that track, when I'm talking about cross country, I'm talking about track. And then when people are thinking about cross country, they call it track. It is very different from track. Track is in the spring, and it's on a track, and there's all sorts of different races. There's 100, 200, 400, 800, 1600, 3200, and 3200 is the longest, which is 3200 meters, as in, is it 2 miles? I don't know. And then there's hurdles and relays, which you have 4 people in a relay that you pass the baton off. And then there's also field, which there's discus and shot put and long jump and triple jump and stuff like that. I didn't really do any field when I did track the one year. And then there's also long jump, or no, not long jump. What am I saying? I said a long jump already. High jump. And there's also, what's that called? The one with the stick. No. No. I don't know. It's the one with the stick and you go over this high thing, but our school district didn't do that. Other school districts did, but we didn't. So that's more of what track is. Cross country, there's only one thing that you do, and it's run a 5K, which is 3-point-some miles, and it's through, a lot of times it's through woods, and you just run and 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 run. Yep, that's what you do. So that's what cross country is. And you try to go as fast as you can without running out of steam before you finish the finish line. So yeah. But then summer before junior year and then also summer before senior year, I ran throughout the summer, and I had certain goals for myself in order to be in shape and be able to have endurance for the start of cross-country season, which is in autumn. So yeah, it was good character building and good strengthening self-discipline. Because it's very painful. And then when you finish running, you definitely kind of feel kind of awful afterwards, like right afterwards. But then when you cool down and you start stretching, you have all these endorphins and you feel really good afterwards. It's like, yeah. And then also that helped me with feeling depressed because I was running and then having endorphins, and so I wasn't so grumpy and sad all the time. I was kind of like the least active in my family before that. Like, my favorite thing to do was sit inside of the house in my room and do nothing. So, yeah. Very much so. Got up and I grew. And I stepped out of my comfort zone because I knew that it just wasn't healthy and it wasn't good. And it was very sad not doing anything and staying where I was. And I socialized. And I made friends. And then I went to school dances. I was still very much inside of my head, though, and not absolutely sure what, the acceptable things were in certain situations, and trying to figure that out. And I would just watch people and try to figure out what this acceptable, just social things were, social stuff. Let's see. What else? Oh, and then also, let's see, when was that? Junior year as well, I started my first job, which I was terrified to do so, but my sister was the manager, and she needed some extra help, and so I was like, okay, as long as I don't have to, deal with a whole lot of people, can I, just be in the back? That was the plan. But then I somehow ended up on cashier a lot of the times, which I realized was fine, as long as I, got into this different mindset of, work mode, and then I'm good. So then that also helped with my confidence and seeing, oh, I can do things. I can do this. And then it ended up that my sister Jewel, she moved to Georgia, and so then we had a different manager then, and I was kind of like the assistant manager, even though I didn't actually have the title, but because she was still, the manager was still in high school and I was out by then. So then on weekdays when we were open, then I was kind of in charge, I guess you could say. And so then I had to tell people what to do and have confidence in that. And I didn't, I'm a middle child, and so I was not used to telling people what to do. I was used to having people tell me what to do, and I was totally happy with that. Just tell me what to do and I'll do it. And then it was you have to tell people what to do. That's scary. I don't want people to be mad at me or think that I'm bossy or whatnot. Again, being worried about what people think of me and worried about people hating me. So, more stepping out of my comfort zone and beneficial and growing and being more confident to do things. Is there anything else notable that happened in high school? Well, I did take a semester. What? I took a class. I took an art class for the last semester of my senior year at my local school district, which was interesting. It was the first period, and so I would just go in the morning, and then after the class, I would just leave. So that was an interesting experience because I never experienced school that way. Because I was homeschooled. So that was, stepping out of my comfort zone and experiencing something different. And then I got a summer job as well when I was working at the other place because that was in the winter. And I was cleaning bathrooms and cabins because I don't remember exactly when, but I realized that I enjoyed cleaning. It was very fun and satisfying. That's the word I'm looking for. Of when there's something dirty. And then you take the time and the care, and then it's nice and clean. It's really cool. That kind of reflects God's character. It reflects God in the way of He takes chaos and brings it into order. Dirty, clean. Disorganized, organized. I don't know if you can see my hands that far down. Dirty, clean. Disorganized, organized. And then in that job as well, I was having to tell people what to do and making sure that they were doing what they were supposed to be doing. Because, not everybody loves cleaning like I do. And that's okay, because we all have our different interests and the things that we like to do, and so that we can do different things and not just all do the same thing. And then, what else? Ooh, yes. 4 years ago now, it was between my winter and summer job, and I took a month and I went down to visit Jewel and Catherine in Georgia. And I flew in a plane all by myself. I didn't fly the plane. I rode in it. But I was in the airport all by myself, and I got to the planes that I needed to be because I had a layover in North Carolina, so I had 2 flights that I had. I had to figure out what gate I needed to be in, and then at one point, I went back to the board to make sure that I was still at the right place because it was there, but then guess what? I went to the board. It was a different gate. It had changed. So I'm like, oh, that's a good thing I checked the board because, I was not in the right gate. So then I had to go all across the airport to get to the other gate that it had changed to. So that was a new experience and stepping out of my comfort zone. I was very, not comfortable and very scared to do that. I'm like, I can't do that. But I'm like, you know what? I can. I can. Because God is with me. I did it. There, I'm back. Yeah, and I visited Jewel and Catherine for a month, and that was cool. Oh, and then, so my sister Jewel, she works in the acting industry, the movie industry, whatnot, you want to call it. And so one of the days, she was actually able to, it was a movie set where it wasn't as tight, because sometimes they're looking for particular types of people, types of, different looks of people and whatnot. So, background actors. So they're in the background. There's the main actors, and they're, the main characters. And then there's background people who don't actually have names or anything. They're just in the background to fill the space. And so that's what Jewel mainly does. And so what am I saying? There was a movie set where they were more loose. They just wanted people. They weren't super particular in what types of people, what types of looks that they were looking for. They just wanted people. So Jewel was pretty sure that Catherine and I would be able to also be accepted on the set there. So we had to take headshots, and we had to tell them our measurements and all this stuff to make sure they had clothes that would fit us and whatnot. and it was set in the 70s, which was pretty cool. I wasn't super fan of what my outfit turned out to be because it was pink, and not a huge fan of pink. Oh, that can tie into this episode because I used to love pink. And then also, I was wearing a skirt, which also can tie in because I used to love skirts and dresses. Ooh, it's bringing to mind things. Yeah. So another different experience in being out of my comfort zone. I definitely felt sick the entire day though, because I was all stressed out and anxious of when they might call me to be on set and be doing certain things that they wanted me to do in the background. And they first called me the one time, and then they had me in place of where I was going to be, and then they decided, oh, the actor, the main actor that's going to be right next to me is wearing pink, and we don't want you to both be wearing pink, so they had to switch me out with a different girl who was wearing blue. So then I went back to the holding place, and then I sat there pretty much the entire day, just sitting there. And then they finally called me once, and I had to be outside and then come in with a guy because we were pretending to be married, and we were looking at furniture and stuff to see if we wanted to buy anything. And you're not supposed to actually talk because they have to pay you more if you talk. And so you're not supposed to talk because they'll add in background noise if needed. So you're just supposed to mouth. Or if you're super far away, you can very quietly talk. But so then when I think we were supposed to wait 30 seconds or something after they called action. So they would say action, and then we had to count to 30 and then start walking, and then we'd go into the store, and then we'd stop at a couch and mouth whether or not we were gonna buy it or something. And then after that, then we would walk down the store. So different experience. I found out that I definitely would not want to do that as a career unless God was calling me to do that, but I would not choose it because it was definitely very nerve-wracking because they're telling you to do things and you're terrified of messing up and then yelling at you or something. But it was fun too, I guess. Let's see what else. And in between those bigger things out of my comfort zone, and definitely choosing to do smaller things that were not comfortable. So, continuously just little by little growing and, just getting out of my comfort zone more and realizing I can do things that I didn't think I could ever do. And then I got the job that I'm working at right now, and I'm the main person for cleaning. And normally I'm cleaning all by myself unless I need extra people. Then I ask, hey, can you work this day and whatnot? And I'm still having to tell people what to do. And especially as I've worked more, I've gotten more confident. Okay, I can tell people what to do and not be bossy. It's okay. That's your job. You're supposed to tell people what to do. And just in everything, you can find that it's beneficial and helps you for the future and whatever you might do. And then November of 2023, I went to Europe for 3 weeks to different countries, to Ireland and Scotland and London and France and the Netherlands. I think that was all. Very stretching and out of my comfort zone, and what else? New experiences there. I'm I keep saying something. What's the thing that I keep saying? Another thing that I keep saying. New experiences. The memories from that trip. Oh my goodness. So funny. And then helping me like reveal things in me that I didn't like, that I wanted to change. And then I went to Cuba recently. Definitely took a lot of energy. Whew. So I guess that kind of shows how I've grown up and matured, and hopefully, here we go. There is part of me that feels like I didn't get anywhere, that I actually haven't matured, I haven't actually grown, I haven't actually gotten anywhere, that I'm still where I was back in middle school. Mostly people think I look a lot younger than I actually am, which can be fun. Like, they'll a lot of times they'll guess my age, like, how old do you think I am? So then they'll tell me, and it's a lot of the times way off. And then I have fun watching their face as I tell them how old that I actually am. So that's fun in that aspect. But having people tell me that, oh, you look so much younger than that, or which, I should be fine with. I mean, I am for the most part fine with that, and like, it's like, you're so lucky because like, as you get older, you'll still look a lot younger, and I get that. But kind of having people tell you, oh, you look so young, it kind of makes me think you are young. And then that means that there's this word I'm trying to think of, but I can't think of what it is. You haven't gotten better at anything. And then also in something of like making podcast episodes, and then I edit them, and so then I have to watch myself as I'm editing it, and like cutting things and whatnot, and like listening to my voice, and it can take a good amount of time to edit them. And so then I keep looking at myself and keep hearing my voice and hearing what I'm saying and being like, does this make any sense? Or my mind can start picking at myself. I'm like, I don't like how I look. And yeah, there's an episode that I recorded. My mind was picking at myself. It was saying, you don't know what you're saying. You're still 14. You're so immature and so self-conscious and insecure and all this stuff. And I'm like, why in the world am I feeling that way? And I kind of had this realization when I was talking with my sister Caitlin in the video when I was recording it. I was wearing a leather jacket that I have had since I was probably around 14. And I have realized that it kind of comes to a certain point when I'm wearing a certain piece of clothing that I can't wear it anymore because it has like too many memories, and when I wear it, I don't feel good anymore. Especially, in that time period where I was just really insecure and depressed and sad feeling and really anxious. And so then when I put that thing on, it's like I'm going back in time. And so it's funny because like I was having that conversation with Caitlin, and she's like, so that's why it's so easy for you to get rid of clothes. And I'm like, I guess that does make sense. It's such a weird thing. And there's probably so many people that are like, I have no idea what you're talking about, and they don't experience this. But I don't know, for some reason I do. What was I talking about before? Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, so I realized, kind of weird, the fact that I feel like I'm 14 still and I've gotten nowhere. That I'm turning 24 this year. So that would be, what am I saying? That would be 10 years ago. So that comes to a point where it clearly shows me that I despise my younger self. Because I don't want to be her anymore. And so, in talking about clothes, when I was younger, like my mom would, pick out my outfits for me and everything, and she would do my hair, and I wasn't necessarily a huge fan of the way that she did my hair, but that was okay. Like, she would cut bangs on me, and I really didn't like it. And I already had, like, preferences in clothes that I wanted to wear and whatnot. And so then when she finally let me be able to start doing my own hair, which, well, she still don't really do my hair, I think. When she started letting me dress myself and, do whatever, I would just wear all sorts of crazy clothing and, bright clothes, and I loved pink. I loved hot pink especially. And I loved wearing skirts and dresses, and just running around carefree. And then also, like, I don't remember this myself, but my mom has told me in the past about when I would go into other people's closets in the house and, like, try on their clothes. Like, I don't remember that, but I guess I did it. I just loved clothes. I still do. And I weirdly remember, I don't know why I'm saying weirdly, but I remember this one point in time. I was 9, and I was at church, and I was wearing a dress, and I weirdly kind of felt uncomfortable in it. And I had never felt uncomfortable in a dress before. And so then I started wearing pants more, and dresses less, and skirts less, until it was pretty much not at all. And I just felt so much more comfortable in pants. And any time that it was more of a formal thing, I would try and wear a dress, and the whole entire time I just felt so uncomfortable. And then, like, in middle school, I definitely started wearing black. A lot of black. I loved black. It was my new favorite color. It was no longer pink. And silver jewelry as well. And I also kind of carried that into high school as well. I definitely loved wearing black. But then I kind of was wearing, other clothes that I liked to wear that weren't all black. But, like, in the past year or two, I had this realization that I wanted to change what I was wearing. In just small ways. I would buy a dress, but then I would still feel very uncomfortable in it. And I'm like, can I find a dress that I feel comfortable in? And then, like, with jewelry, I also, like, a couple of years ago, very much, I had, like, this very edgy, grungy phase of black, and I'm, like, cool, and then, like, silver jewelry, and I'm, like, I'm just, like, the cool, like, mysterious person, you shouldn't mess with me, whatnot. And I realized that was instinctively? No, is that the word that I'm looking for? Subconsciously? Under the surface. That was, in a way, having a guard up and walls up to protect myself from getting hurt. Because I would put my heart out there in friendships. I had never had a relationship with a boy or anything. But, like, in friendships, I would put my heart out there and it wouldn't be reciprocated. And so then I would get hurt. Or I wouldn't guard my heart very well. Also, I don't know if I just had this sign on my forehead saying, run over me, walk over me, like, take me for granted. I don't know. Don't take me seriously. And I felt like I needed to, like, act tougher, and I don't know if it really worked. Probably didn't. Because in reality, I'm just a cinnamon roll who doesn't even want her to fly. I can't stand watching it die after I've smacked it. And so I kind of dressed tougher because I felt cool. And I mean, I still like dressing like that sometimes. But I kind of realized that I wanted to change that because I don't want to be that way anymore. I don't want to act tough, and I don't want to have walls up and guards up. I want to be like Jesus. And I want to love people. I don't want to have guards up. I want to guard my heart, of course. And so I'm still trying to figure out what, the right kind of boundaries are and whatnot. Working with that with God. But I wanted to kind of slowly change what I wear. And so one of the things is wearing gold jewelry. And I still wear silver sometimes, which I'm wearing earrings. There's just the mic. I don't know if you could hear me. Well, I mean, you could, but it's not as well. I'm wearing silver earrings right now with a gold necklace. I don't care, it's fine. I'm wearing a gold ring and a gold watch. This used to be my grandmother's that I just recently got. It's really pretty. And then also trying to incorporate skirts. I haven't really done that, but I want to. And then also wearing dresses sometimes. I went to a wedding last night. Yeah. And I wore a dress. But with that, I added edgy pieces to it. That's weird to say. Like, I wore combat boots, too. And so that kind of helped me still feel more comfortable. So, like, easing myself into it as well. And it's not like, oh, yes, you have to wear, feminine clothes because you just have to. But I want to. And trying to figure out exactly my style with that. I still very much like black, but I also like a lot of more earth tones. So brown and green and colors like that, but toned down so they're not bright colors. And it's still very much a process. I was also recently thinking about the fact of, I was around middle school age, I'd say, and there was a TV show, a Disney TV show called Girl Meets World, and it's about two friends, two girls, and one is really bubbly and woo, and wears bright clothes and is very carefree and such, and then her friend is more reserved and has more walls up and dresses more tough and acts more tough and whatnot. And I thought okay, so their names are Riley and Maya, so I don't get them mixed up. Riley is more bubbly and woo, and then Maya is the more cool, and tough, and dresses edgy and whatnot. And I thought Maya was really cool, and I wanted to dress like her, and I wanted to act like her, which I think that was definitely an influence of me dressing more edgy and acting more tough, which I didn't really, because I just couldn't do that. And so, I felt like I related to Maya, but a couple of years ago, I don't know, I kind of had a realization. So Riley, the bubbly, energy, carefree girl, had this obsession with purple cats. She loved to paint them, and it wasn't very good or anything. I remember this one episode where they were in art class and they were supposed to draw a door, and Maya paints this beautiful picture of a door with like light coming out of it. And then the art teacher gets to Riley, and it's a purple cat, like a really messy purple cat. I don't know, she just said she just loved purple cats. And then a couple of years ago, I was looking through one of my record books for 4-H, and I had gone to a day camp, and normally they have different themes and whatnot, and this one was animals, and so, like, you could dress up as an animal, and I was a purple cat. And I'm like, huh. All this time I thought I was more like Maya, but I realized that my child self was originally more like Riley. More carefree and not so guarded. Used her imagination so much. Dressed crazy and wild and didn't care what people thought. Like, I would wear clothes that did not match at all, but I loved it. And I literally didn't care. I didn't have a thought in my mind of, oh, what would other people think? No. I like this, so I'm gonna wear it. Like, I didn't think about that stuff. But then as I, got older, I started getting more guarded and felt like I needed to act tougher so that people would stop messing with me, because that would happen sometimes. Not a whole lot, but sometimes. More like words wise. I realize that things aren't so big and they're not that earth shaking, and doing things that are embarrassing are funny. And it's not the end of the world. You can laugh at yourself. It's not that serious. Yeah, so I want to stop despising my younger self. I want to be carefree again and not so inside of my head. I've gotten so far, but I'd like to go a lot further. Yeah, last night at the wedding, I once again was up there, on the dance floor a lot, and just dancing my heart out and just moving to the music and doing whatever and not caring. And once again, like, this time there was more people dancing, but there were points where I was the only one dancing again. But I'm like, I am just having fun. I'm dancing to the music. I'm worshiping God right now. And it was funny. At one point, I was sitting at the table that we were sitting at, and Caitlin was sitting next to me. And there was this song that we had never heard before. And I was like, what is this song? And so then Caitlin, like, does, like, the Google thing where you have it listen and then it tells you what song it is. And so then it did it. So then I pressed on the lyrics. And so then I was, like, singing to it, like, because I didn't know the words, or just for fun. I thought it was funny. Because I'm like, I don't know this song, but I'm singing it. And then, like, there was a part where, on the phone with the lyrics, there was, like, at the end of, like, a part, there was, like, in parentheses, it said, hey, with an exclamation point. And so then when it got to that point, I, like, yelled, hey, and there was no hey in the song. And so it was quiet there, and I just yelled, hey, like, really loudly. And I literally didn't care. I was just laughing at myself. Thought it was so funny. Yeah. Get out of your head. It doesn't matter. It's not that serious. You can laugh at yourself. Making mistakes shows that you're human, not a fake person. Or like, just a, yeah. Well, I guess that's kind of what I got today. Thank you for listening. I hope this encouraged you in some way to get out of your head and not be so worried about making mistakes, and don't be so serious. You can laugh at yourself and be okay with things that you've done in the past. Because, again, God loves you no matter what. It is an unconditional love that is constant and unchanging. In a world of things that are constantly changing, He is the thing that never changes. It's steady, the rock that you can stand on. His love is unchanging. No matter what you do, He still loves you no matter what. He loves you when you were a child. He loves you when you were in middle school. He loves you high school, whenever. He loves you now. And nothing can change that. I hope you have a great day. I don't know what I'm saying. I need to figure out an exit thing to say, because I just don't know how to end these things. Okay. I don't want to do it again, but I don't have anything else. Goodbye. Bye.